Betrayal doesn't always come crashing down like a storm. Sometimes, it creeps in slowly, hidden behind smiles, late-night texts, and excuses that feel harmless until they shatter everything you thought you knew. I thought my marriage was safe, my life predictable, and my future secure. But then, a secret surfaced, one so twisted it made my blood run cold. My wife wasn't just cheating. She was pregnant, and the child wasn't mine. She wanted me to raise her a fair baby as if nothing happened. That's when I realized this wasn't just betrayal. This was a war for my dignity. I had always been the type of man who lived by simple values: loyalty, hard work, and family first. My wife, Melissa, and I had been married for 6 years. We weren't perfect, but we had what I thought was a strong foundation. I worked long hours in finance, grinding through 12-hour shifts to make sure we had a comfortable home, a decent savings account, and a future free of worries. Melissa had always dreamed of a career in marketing, and I supported her fully. When she finally landed a job at a well-known company downtown, I couldn't have been prouder. I told everyone how lucky I was, how I had a wife who was not only beautiful but ambitious and determined. But looking back now, I see how blind I was. First, her new job seemed like a blessing. She was excited, full of energy, and she'd talk endlessly about her projects, her clients, and, more than anything, her boss, Daniel. I brushed it off, thinking she was simply enthusiastic about her work. I didn't want to be the insecure husband who questioned every detail. Then came the late nights. Melissa started working overtime, staying at the office until 10 or 11, sometimes claiming she had late client dinners. She brushed off my concerns, saying, "This is how it is in marketing. If I want to get promoted, I have to put in the extra hours." I wanted to believe her. I had no reason not to, at least that's what I told myself. But the distance between us grew. Conversations became shorter. Intimacy dwindled. She was always glued to her phone, smiling at messages she claimed were from colleagues. I told myself she was just tired, stressed, and maybe overwhelmed. Then one night, she came home smelling like cologne that wasn't mine. That's when my gut screamed what my mind had been too afraid to admit. Something was wrong. Still, I tried to push it down. We planned a weekend getaway, hoping to reconnect. But Melissa seemed distant the whole time, her phone never leaving her hand. At dinner, while I poured my heart out about how I missed us, she scrolled through emails. The truth was beginning to creep through the cracks. It all came crashing down one Thursday evening. Melissa had left her laptop open while she showered. Normally, I would never invade her privacy, but something inside me told me to look, just once. And when I did, the truth hit me like a freight train. There were emails, dozens of them, between her and Daniel, her boss. Not just professional exchanges, but intimate, emotional confessions. He called her my love, my escape, and my future. She responded with words I thought she reserved only for me. My hands trembled as I scrolled, feeling the world collapse beneath me. But the worst was yet to come. One email dated just weeks earlier revealed everything. Melissa was pregnant, and it wasn't mine. Daniel wrote that he couldn't take responsibility because of his reputation and his family image. He told her to convince me to raise the child. Melissa replied that she would handle it and that I was too loyal to leave. I sat there in silence, staring at the screen as rage, heartbreak, and disbelief consumed me. 6 years of marriage, trust, and sacrifice, all reduced to lies and manipulation. For days, I pretended not to know. I watched her move around the house, humming softly, making plans as if nothing was wrong. But inside, I was unraveling. Every smile felt like poison. Every word she spoke felt like another stab in my back. Finally, I confronted her, not with shouting, but with quiet devastation. I told her I knew everything, that I had seen the emails. At first, she denied it, spinning wild stories about misunderstandings. But when I mentioned the pregnancy, her face drained of color. She broke down, admitting the affair, admitting the baby wasn't mine. And then, with audacity I still can't fathom, she begged me to stay. She said I was her rock, that Daniel didn't want the child, and that I could still raise the baby as my own. She framed it as if I was saving her, saving us, by agreeing to shoulder a burden that wasn't mine. But what about me? Who was saving me? The days that followed were the darkest of my life. Melissa tried everything: apologies, tears, even threats. She painted Daniel as a manipulator, saying she had been swept up in his power and influence. She told me we could rebuild, that this mistake didn't have to define us. But I couldn't unsee the betrayal. I couldn't forget the way she looked at her phone with a secret smile, the way she dismissed my love while feeding someone else hers. The breaking point came one night when she placed my hand on her stomach and whispered, "This baby could still have a father if you let it." That moment shattered any remaining illusion. She wasn't just asking me to forgive her. She was asking me to erase myself, to accept humiliation as love. The next morning, I walked into the courthouse and filed for divorce. The process was brutal. Melissa fought hard, trying to guilt me, even attempting to smear my name. But the truth was undeniable. I had evidence, emails, timelines, everything. Friends who once admired our marriage looked at me with pity, while some whispered judgment behind my back. But I didn't care anymore. I had to protect what was left of my dignity. The divorce finalized months later. Melissa was left with the consequences of her choices. Daniel? He never faced real accountability. Men like him rarely do. But that wasn't my battle anymore. For me, freedom came not from revenge but from reclaiming myself. When the ink dried on those divorce papers, I felt a strange mix of grief and relief. Grief for the man I used to be, the one who believed love was unbreakable. Relief for the man I had become, the one who chose self-respect over living a lie. Melissa reached out a few times afterward, trying to mend things or perhaps to ease her own guilt. But I never looked back. I realized that sometimes the greatest act of love you can give yourself is walking away. Betrayal changes you. It hardens you, teaches you lessons you never asked for, and leaves scars that take years to fade. But it also forces you to see your worth. I wasn't just a backup plan. I wasn't a safety net for her mistakes. I was a man who deserved truth, loyalty, and respect. And so I let go, not just of her, but of the weight she tried to place on my shoulders. If you've ever been betrayed, you know the pain is indescribable. But let me ask you this. Is it better to live with betrayal, pretending it never happened, or to walk away and reclaim your life? For me, the answer was clear. Because sometimes, divorce isn't the end of a love story. It's the beginning of your survival story.